wouldn't expect dogs to hold a high-level corporate position at a winery, but there is a place in central Illinois where they do. Meet Maxel and Moritz, the official vineyard assistants at White Oak Vineyards in Carlock. Together with their owners, Mary and Rudy Hofmann, they make sure that every glass of wine you enjoy not only tastes great, but also embodies that German Gemütlichkeit, an easygoing coziness and sense of belonging. We're going to show you the love and dedication the four of them put into their work, and give you a behind-the-scenes look to see what it takes to get from vine to wine. It begins with a journey to the southern vineyard, where Rudy is planting a new field of Steuben grapes. All of White Oak Vineyards' young vines come from a nursery in the Finger Lakes region in New York. Earlier in the day, Rudy and Maxel had already dug holes in preparation for planting. Typically, it takes about 3 years before the plant begins to bear fruit. A little later that day, Rudy is busy constructing a trellis system for another new variety of vines that were planted earlier. He then places grow tubes around each vine, which train it to grow up towards the trellis structure and also protect it from small animals and strong winds. Grapevines are aggressive growers, so in the late winter and early spring it's time to prune them. Every row of vines at White Oak Vineyards is pruned by hand, often when it's still freezing outside. This year, spring came along a little earlier. Grapes only grow on last year's stems, called canes, so any growth older than that must be removed. New shoots are then trained to grow along the trellis. Later in the season, the Hofmanns will repeat the process, this time selectively pruning the plant to create the proper foliage to fruit ratio, which ensures that the grapes receive plenty of sunlight and nutrients. Now it's just a matter of making sure the vineyard assistants are properly massaged and waiting for the grapes to ripen. It's barely 6 a.m. on a late August morning, and everyone is already out picking grapes. During the ripening process, sugar levels in the grapes increase, while their acidity decreases. Brix is a term used to describe the sugar concentration of grapes. 1 degree of Brix represents 1 gram of sugar per 100 grams of grape juice. Grapes are usually picked when their Brix rises to the upper teens or low 20s. Winemakers will often use a refractometer or Brix meter to measure this value. At this point, it's important to work fast. When stored too long, the grapes may start to crush under their own weight and prematurely begin the fermentation process. So that same day, Mary and Rudy, along with the help of their good friends Becky and Pete, prepare to process today's harvest of Cayuga grapes. They are first sent through a crusher destemmer, which separates the stems and leaves from the grapes. Then it's time for the grape press, which consists of an inflatable rubber bladder and 2 wooden spring-form shells. The press is filled with the crushed grapes, sealed, and the bladder inflated, which extracts all the juice. Red wine is made a little bit differently. Instead of heading to the press after crushing and destemming, the grapes are transferred to a primary fermentation vessel, where they go through a process called maceration. That's the extraction of flavors, tannins, and the red color from the grape skins and seeds. This process can take anywhere from 3 days to a week or possibly even longer. Mary uses this opportunity to take some juice samples. She tests them and creates a log to keep track of all her measurements now and in the future. Aside from testing sugar and acidity levels, she also determines if and how much sulfur dioxide should be added to the grape juice. This is a compound that inhibits growth of bacteria, prevents oxidation, and preserves flavors and freshness. By now, the press has done its job and extracted the frothy juices from the grapes. From here, they're pumped into their new home, a stainless steel tank for primary fermentation. Now it's up to the yeasts to turn the sugar in the grape juice to alcohol. Sometimes they're not quite in the mood. In that case, a couple of jackets draped around the tank can raise the temperature to begin fermentation. Fermentation takes place in 2 stages. During primary fermentation, which lasts from 3 to 5 days, the wine is exposed to fresh air and the yeasts reproduce rapidly. Then, during secondary fermentation, the container is sealed and the fermentation process slows down for the next 3 to 6 months. Depending on the style, the red wines, after completing primary and secondary fermentation, are transferred to oak barrels for aging. These impart another layer of complex aroma compounds onto the wine. Time again to wait. Then, one day, it's time to bottle up the delicious Frontenac wine that has been aging for the past year. The wine bottles are first filled with nitrogen, which will prevent the wine from oxidizing during the bottling process. From here, the bottles are handed over to Rudy's cousin Willie, who is operating the filling station today. The wine is pumped out of its oak barrel, into the filling station, and then into the bottles. Now the bottles are handed over to Rudy, who corks them. Case after case slowly fills up, ready to be enjoyed. Looks like someone is happy all the hard work is finally over. Whether you're here to relax, to enjoy some music, take in the peaceful scenery, or to celebrate, chances are you won't want to leave. So, drop by when you have the opportunity and indulge yourself with some handcrafted wine made with a typical German attention to detail. That's what White Oak Vineyards is all about. We hope to see you here very soon, and until then we'll say Auf Wiedersehen und bis bald.